Hello and welcome back to Higurashi Matsuribayashi arc. Final arc. Sorry about missing Monday's episode, but um yeah, I've only been been down on my recordings a bit, so but it should be fine or pretty stable for the rest of the month, I assume. So that's fine. But to be honest, I mean, we're pretty ahead on like our pacing for this arc has been like way above average because we've only have 3 episodes out, but we're already on chapter 4. So I don't know if this is gonna be like a shorter arc or is it just gonna be like more chapters. Because I still assume that we're gonna still be going through Takano's backstory, which means more. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is another one-shot chapter with no chapter breaks, because we still have. I'm guessing they'll show Takano and Ire moving into Hinamizawa, and I'm guessing and then for sure they have to show the moment when Takano changes her objective from research to becoming the curse. So yeah, those are some key moments I suspect will happen soon. Maybe some nice romance with Toмотaki. I'm still asking. I want it, dude. I want that wholesomeness. But last episode was pretty good, especially the continuation of Takano's escape from the orphanage. That was extremely good. I don't want to jump the gun and say best background or best, what is that, background origin thing? I don't know how to say it, but backstory. But it was really good. I think it's very comparable to Rena's backstory in terms of quality. In terms of actual substance, like it kind of is actually. Maybe that's why she likes Rena, because Rena's is a little similar, though obviously not to the degree of Takano's, like degree of intensity and I guess just unluckiness. but but yeah, it was a great scene. So let's hope the quality continues. Let's go. Starting with tiny Takano. How long have I been crying? I don't even know how long I've been comforted like this. My grandfather's hand on my cheek is on my cheek to comfort me. I'm holding his hand lovingly and pressing my cheek against it. My grandfather put his other hand on my head. The warmth of his palms gradually calmed me down. Piles of documents were all around me. It was a mistake to sort through data while lying on a fluffy carpet. I must have fallen asleep and had a terrible dream. Is that true? I'm a back or side sleeper. I like almost never sleep on my chest. I don't really have I mean, I do have nightmares, but my sleep's weird. I usually like wake up at least once and then go back to sleep for like another hour or 3. It's not a good sleeping schedule, but that's just the way I am. I've been going to bed late recently. Because of that, I yawn at school. I yawn a lot at school. My teacher must have written a note to my grandfather. The day for him to present his findings is approaching. He's been working so hard, devoting himself to his research, but there's unfortunately a limit to what an individual can do. He needs a collaborator in order to go further with his research. He has to explain that his investigation could be the key to solving the mysteries of human behavior, and make people understand just how important his work is. But this research is about a very complicated subject, so he couldn't seek assistance from just anyone. Someone will be able to help him one day. Believing that, my grandfather earnestly continued his research. I want to help him more, but all I can do is sort through his data and tidy up his materials. I also assist him around the house so he can concentrate on his research. He always tells me how helpful I am, but that isn't enough for me. I will study hard, get into a good college, and learn many things, so I can actually be of assistance to his research. I'm a mediocre student right now, and I don't particularly like school, but I will do it. I want to help my grandfather. If his heart were to fail and he couldn't continue his research, I wouldn't hesitate to cut open my chest and offer my heart up for him. If he needs lungs, I'll give him my lungs. If any of his organs fail, I'll give him mine. There's nothing strange about those feelings. Honestly, considering what we know about Takano's struggle at the orphanage, and the fact that this is in the future where Hifumi had saved her. It's very understandable since that orphanage was literally hell. So, saving her from hell definitely would give a lot of strong feelings towards the grandfather. They're perfectly normal ones, for if he had found me even a day later, I might not have been alive. Or even if I lived, it would either be without my body intact, or with my mind lost to me. In other words, I'm alive because my grandfather came to save me. If he hadn't rushed to find me, I wouldn't be here. Hopefully, they did something about that orphanage too, but maybe we'll see a scene. Maybe not. So I won't hesitate to give up my life for him. Moreover, I'd be more than happy to do that. Even though I want to be with him forever, humans' lives aren't immortal. Just like how my parents died, it happens so suddenly, without any warning. I will never heal from my parents' deaths. But now that I have my grandfather, I'm not sad. However, his existence isn't eternal either. He may disappear all of a sudden for any unexpected reason. Just like my parents. That's why I wish to be part of him. That way, no matter what happens, we will be together forever. I don't want to be alone ever again. I want to be with my grandfather forever. I want to help him forever.
わかった。じゃあこの資料の整理が終わったらちゃんと寝るんだよ。約束。
約束。
We pinky promised after that. We smiled at each other and my grandfather went back to his study. The dried up tears are making my cheeks itch. I headed to the bathroom to wash my face and brush my teeth. I looked at my face in the mirror. None of my grandfather's features are recognizable on my face. Of course they aren't. We're not related. He must have a family too, but I've never heard about them. He doesn't seem to want to talk about that subject, so I don't ever ask him about it. I don't care if he has real grandchildren or not. Even if I'm not related to him. I'm a granddaughter of Hifumi Takano. I'm not just a granddaughter either. I want to be more than that. I don't want to be a parent and a child relationship, nor a lover's relationship, nothing like that. I want something more certain that binds our souls. Something that's not even a tragedy can destroy. I am Miyoko Takano, Hifumi Takano's granddaughter. Maybe it should be Mio instead. That's what my grandfather sometimes calls me. I want to succeed Hifumi's spirit. Since his name counts from 1 to 3, I want us to share that 3 and be the 4th in his line. Today my name changes. I wrote that new name in the mirror. Mio Takano. What a wonderful name for a new me. It does roll off the tongue a bit better. So here's the name change. I will say, and I'm guessing it's not a problem. We're in nope, never mind. I heard the Higurashi. I will say, like, the mixing, like the sound mixing, is a little wonky, I feel. Maybe it's not like too noticeable, but the music doesn't feel as well mixed in like sound levels compared to like the other arts. But again, since nobody's been complaining, I assume it is fine. So, but yeah, sometimes it does feel like the music's a little louder than the characters speaking, which hasn't really been a problem since like Watanabe, so it's a little weird, I guess. Colonel. It's Kozumi.
だからもう大差はなしだよ。なしなし。暮れに具合を悪くしたと聞いてから心配してたんだよ。でも元気そうで何より。
It's the song, dude. The classic. My grandfather always told me he doesn't have any friends. He used to tell me everyone died in the war. But that's not true. He has one very close friend. This is him. He's an elderly man my grandfather calls Colonel Koizumi. I don't know exactly where they met, but every time they got together, all they talked about is the military and the war. So I guess that's where they met.
ミオちゃんも大きくなったね。今身長は何センチくらいになったんだい？
この間身体検査があったけど、2センチ伸びました。
そうかそうか。育ち盛りはいいの。いっぱい食べて、いっぱい運動して、いっぱい大きくなるんだよ。いいなあ、高野くんはこんなに可愛いお孫さんに恵まれて。
Mr. Koizumi knows that my grandfather and I aren't related, but he always tells me his granddaughter. That makes me very happy, so I poured a little more black tea in his cup. After I finished serving tea, I left with a bow. I want to stay and listen to them talk, but I guess my grandfather doesn't want me to hear stories of the war, so he always makes me leave. I left before I was told to. But having to leave doesn't mean I need to go to a different room. I just headed to the other side of this huge living room instead. Although I'm not right by them, I can still sit on the sofa and listen to their conversation. And if they needed something, I can come help them right away. I try to earn points that way to prove I'm useful. I sat on the sofa away from them and started reading an encyclopedia. While doing that, I tried to listen to their conversation.
それはよかった。教授たちは都合が合えば再来週の日曜日にも早速来たいって言ってくれたよ。
本当ですか？ありがとうございます、小泉さん。
いやいやいやいや、高野くんが書いたレポートがそれだけ興味深かったことの証左だの。かなり関心を持ってくれてね。ノーベル賞ものの研究になるかもしれないと非常に受けが良かった。
ノーベル賞だなんてそんな。
The ultimate reward.
いや、お言葉だけでも
I
恐
think.
縮です。
I'm guessing that is. I don't know. My grandfather laughed. Since he laughed so cheerfully, something great must have happened. Mr. Kozumi must have shown the society the essay my grandfather was about to announce and gauged their reactions. And supposedly they found it extremely interesting. That means they recognized the value of my grandfather's research. That makes me happy, too.
しかし、いつも心配なのは君自身がひなみ沢症候群に感染してしまってやしないかということだね。
It's a good point. I didn't really consider that, but like maybe that's why he killed himself, because he got the syndrome.
君が自分の首をかきむしるようなことがないよう気をつけてくれよ。
ひょっとすると私もすでに感染しているかもしれませんな。でもひなみ沢症候群は普通に生活する分には決して危険な病気ではないのです。村人たちがお社様信仰を作り出し、厳しい戒律で自らを縛った頃はかなり危険な病気だったかもしれない。でも時間とともにそれは薄まり、今ではよっぽどのことがない限り発症することはないようです。
あれだけの発症例があったのに。
And maybe the fact that Hifumi's research gets denied, like triggers that emotional reaction you need for the syndrome to raise its level.
ひなみ沢症候群の発症には特に精神の状態が重要なのです。普通に心穏やかに生活している分には何にも悪さをしない病気なのです。
戦争という異常な状況下で精神が追い詰められた時のみ発症する。
そうです。なに恐れることなどないのですよ。初期の自覚症状はうつ状態に似た疑心暗鬼。それを自覚したら高野式呼吸法などにより心身のリラックスを図り、かつ9時間以上の睡眠を1週間以上とる。
Yeah, I've heard about this relaxation method cited in the notes for Minagiroshi before they did the massacre.
これで発症など未然に防げてしまうのです。
The Takano method, I think they called it.
実際、私の指導下にあったひなみ沢出身兵士は一人も開始しませんでしたぞ。
There you go. As he taught, grandfather started demonstrating the Takano breathing method and a bizarre exercise technique. According to him, this technique relaxes the body and lets blood and lymphatic fluid flow smoothly. As a result, you relax emotionally too. But the movements involved in the technique are so weird. I had to look away because my grandfather looked silly. That was the one thing about his research that I felt bad about. Oh, grandfather asked me to do this exercise too. I don't want to make him sad, so I do it when instructed.
ならばいいんだがね。研究対象が元で死に至ってる医学者は過去にもたくさんいる。
Not Noguchi.
君も気をつけての。
だが、研究に準じた彼らの偉業は死後も揺るが
I don't know who that is. Should we Google check? Let's see. Hideo Noguchi, Japanese bacteriologist. Discovered the agent of syphilis as a cause of progressive paralytic disease. There you go, more you know. Aw, where's my... It's not showing me what's trending on Google, dude. It's what I wanted to see. It's only my searches. Unlucky. There you go, Mr. Syphilis, man. Grandfather tells me about Hideo Noguchi often. He was born as the son of a poor farmer, but he studied hard and became a doctor. However, he was mistreated because of his background, so he left Japan. He moved to the United States. There he made many accomplishments as a researcher. He discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. This could also... I think they spelled the name different, so this could just be like a fictional person based on the guy I Googled. But to be fair, I literally just read like one sentence about him, so... Grandfather's background is somewhat similar to his, so we often said that of all researchers, he admired him the most. Hideo Noguchi died in North Africa, while he discovered a vaccine for yellow fever. What is yellow fever? Sorry. I like to take these moments to educate myself. I've definitely heard of yellow fever. It's caused by a virus that is spread through mosquito bites. Is yellow fever still around? A highly effective vaccine exists to prevent yellow fever. So it's only around in South Africa. Is it? Vaccination. I'm not seeing Hideyoshi, but interesting. I now slightly know more about a disease. I think I said that I looked a couple of like the Spanish flu and stuff a couple episodes ago, right? Because of Corona. There you go, add that to your list. I'll keep that tab open. He heard it wasn't effective on yellow fever in North Africa. He went there to research it, came down with the disease and died. A researcher losing his life for his research. Sometimes that is a test of a researcher's courage. In that sense, grandfather is very brave to visit Hinamizawa himself to gather information. He himself says he may already be infected. Although my grandfather estimates from ancient texts that the Hinamizawa syndrome was only a menace centuries ago. And now it's no different from the usual bacteria that share a symbiosis with humans. Many people became ill with the disease during the war, but that was because they were in an extremely abnormal situation. In today's peaceful environment, it's almost impossible for a person to develop symptoms. He sounds very optimistic, but he never brought me with him to Hinamizawa, so maybe he isn't as optimistic as all that. However, since I live with him, there's a possibility that I'm already infected as well. But I'm not worried at all. That's because my grandfather has taught me that as long as I maintain myself physically and emotionally, I won't develop any symptoms. I know all about the horrible terminal symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome, but I'm not overly fearful of them. Grandfather is enjoying his conversation with Mr. Koizumi. That's understandable. Mr. Koizumi told him some people showed great interest in his report. They even wanted to come over on Sunday, the week after the next, to meet and talk with him directly. With the rapid advance of modern medicine, unexplored frontiers are steadily dwindling. Was it possible the Hinamizawa syndrome my grandfather discovered might be a new continent? Or continent? Continent? I guess it is continent in the field. It'll be decided in 2 weeks. It sounds like there will be more than one person coming. It also sounds like they're all important people in society. They're all rich and famous, yet they aren't satisfied with just that. They all want to be involved with something that's worth an international award. This is a chance to gain assistance and sponsorship at the same time.
では再来週。私も様子を見に来ます。ぜひ頑張ってください。
これもすべて小泉さんのおかげです。本当にありがとうございます。
それは無事賛同者を集められてからにしましょう。その折にはぜひ秘蔵のワインを開けて乾杯といきましょうの。
That was the last of their conversation. My grandfather kept his head bowed until Mr. Koizumi was gone. It sounded like he set up this great chance for my grandfather. So I bowed my head just like him.
聞いてたかい？ようやくチャンスが巡ってきたよ。私のレポートに関心を持ってくれる人が現れたのだ。
聞いてたよ。これでおじいちゃんの研究に協力してくれる人やお金を出してくれる人が現れるんだね。
まだそうと決まったわけじゃないさ。
Although he didn't want to admit it, he had a good feeling about it. The research he had conducted all alone was finally about to gain recognition.
再来週の日曜日なの？
忙しくなるぞ。プレゼンテーションで第一印象のすべてが決まる。資料を読みやすく作り直したり、いや、人前できちんと説明できるよう少し練習をした方がいいかもしれない。とにかく手落ちがないようにしっかりやらないとな。
資料の作り直しは大事だね。
Boy, it'll be a lot of work.
おじいちゃんの字は読みにくいから少し大きめに書いた方がいいと思う。
とにかく忙しくなるぞ。再来週か。うかうかしていたらあっという間だ。
そうだね。私もお手伝いするよ。ホルマリンの容器とかのホコリも拭き取らないとね。あと丸まった資料の反りを直さないと。絨毯の下に敷いて一晩も置いたら治るかな。
やらなければならないことは山ほどだな。ミオ、手伝ってくれるかい？
もちろん。学校休んでお手伝いする。
それはいかん。
We laughed together, thrust our fists into the air, and motivated ourselves to work hard towards the next week after. Toward the week after the next. Since that day, my grandfather spent more time in his study. It's not easy to create a report that you're going to show other people. Copying machines hadn't been invented back then, so everything had to be handwritten. He knows it's somewhere, but he just can't remember where he put the data he needs. As for me, I have to make sure I have enough guest cups to serve tea, so I'm counting them. Do I have enough tea leaves? Maybe I should get something to go with the tea. My grandfather knows nothing about these things. There's a whole list of chores to do. I need to clean the windows so the room will be bright. What else? The 2 weeks passed quickly while we busy ourselves getting things done. What a wonderful 2 weeks it is. I can finally feel that I'm actually doing something to help my grandfather with his research. I hope the day of the meeting will be a memorable one for my grandfather. I hope that day will be a beautiful and clear one. Well, sounds clear. Just as I wish, the day is beautiful. Oh. But no one came. Evening. My grandfather, having dressed formally, paced around his study nervously. I'm also in a beautiful dress. I've only worn it once before at my piano recital. But I'm not nervous like my grandfather. His silly nervousness actually relaxes me. Are they here yet? Grandfather looked out the window. Then a black car stopped in front of the gates. Back then, a car was a luxury item. I don't think I had even one classmate whose family owned a car. So it only made sense that men coming out of the car looked respectable. Grandfather and I ran out to welcome them. So they did come.
お召し物をお預かりします。
I greeted them and filled the role we decided ahead of time. Though my being relaxed by my grandfather's silliness ended at that point. Both my grandfather and I were stiff with anxiety as we greeted them now that the moment was here.
はじめまして先生。そしてはじめましてお嬢さん。いえ、お孫さんですかな。
孫です。みよ、ご挨拶なさい。
はじめまして。高野美代と申します。
賢そうな子ですね。本日は小泉先生の代理で参りました。小泉先生は急な用事が入ってしまい、本日は出席をすることができなくなってしまいました。そのことを大変残念がっておりました。
そうですか。それは残念です。
The person who set up everything isn't here. My grandfather even had his treasured wine ready, just as they promised 2 weeks ago.
皆さん、ご紹介いたします。こちらは高野一二三先生です。高野先生はかつて軍部の貿易研究所におられ、伝染病予防分野の第一人者として活躍されておりました。
Okay, he made many advances in developing synthetic food and synthetic alcohol as measures against malnutrition and ration shortages.
よろしく。はじめまして。お邪魔いたします。
The men are even older than my grandfather. They take off their hats one at a time to greet him. Their beards, expensive-looking canes, and glasses tell me that they are very high up in this society. Grandfather bows to each one of them.
それでは皆さん、どうぞ書斎へ。誇り臭い場所で大変恐縮です。どうぞこちらへ。みよ、皆さんにお茶の準備を。
はい。
I wasn't nervous at all earlier, but now I think I'm the most nervous one. I'm not the one making the presentation, and I'm not the one being evaluated, so it's ridiculous that I'm feeling so nervous. I don't know if I should use that as my excuse, but I was so nervous that I knocked over the thermos I had filled to the brim with hot water and ruined the black tea I'd chosen specifically for this day. I apologized to my grandfather and started to boil water again. I just need enough for the guests. By the time I had cups of teas and cookies ready, grandfather's presentation was at its key part.
血管もしくはリンパ管を破って脊髄へ侵入し、髄液を通って脳内に至るものと思われます。また死後の解剖結果、脳炎を起こしたものを複数件確認しています。類似の症状をもたらすウイルスは過去の事例を紐解いても数種類あり、その中でも代表的なものは
Grandfather said, walking between samples in formalin jars and pointing to several as he gave his explanation. There are over 100 formalin jars in here with parts of the brains in them. They were all very dusty, so I spent a few days cleaning them. Dude, cleaning jars with brains in them as a child. It's pretty hardcore. I'm rather proud to see the sparkling jars all lined up like
た
this.
だしこれらのウイルスが引き起こす症状は多岐にわたります。
On the other hand, symptoms of Hinamizawa syndrome are very specific to that disease.
それが喉を自らかきむしる自傷行為だとおっしゃるのですね。
さようです。これについては死亡直前を知る兵士たちの目撃情報から分かっています。この自傷行為はこれまでに知られてきたどのような病状にもありません。南沢症候群独自のものです。また末期患者にしか見られない行為であることから、これは一部の感染症に見られるのと同じエクソダスであると考えられます。感染者の体内で十分に成長し幼虫を繁殖させた後、ウイルスは体外へ脱出し次なる感染者を探すのです。
ではその血液にはウイルスもしくは陽性が満たされているわけであり、貿易の知識のない現地の兵士がそれに触れていたならば、彼らも感染していた可能性があるわけです。にもかかわらず南沢出身者以外の兵士に感染例がないことをどうお考えですか？
It's a good point. We did establish that they can be spread, but we didn't like really say how. I mean, I'm guessing. I mean, liquids is usually just how stuff gets spread. I doubt it's like airborne, unless like someone coughs at you. But that's like liquids too, right? Technically.
これについては潜伏期間その他を疑ったのですが、南沢という地域だけに限定していることから考え、現地の特殊な気候その他があると考えられます。
So basically, if I'm getting it right, they do spread to other people, but since the people move to like another city, like or whatever, like really fast or whatever, like they don't stay in Hinamizawa enough for the parasites to like hatch or get active, and they kind of just die once they get to like another, or at least stay asleep once they like move back to wherever, assuming they're like, I don't know, at vacation in Hinamizawa. They get it from another, like a Hinamizawan's in like Tokyo and spreads it, but then the parasites never hatch because they actually need to be in Hinamizawa to like hatch or whatever, something like that. I'm guessing. Sounds good. Oops.
また辞書で詳しく取り上げておりますが、南沢の古い土着の信仰から考え、
ありえないですよ、高野先生。
Oh.
ウイルスに社会性があるなど聞いたこともない。
いえ、ですからこれこそが南沢症候群の画期的な発見の一つでありまして。
Uh-oh. The elderly gentlemen mumble to each other while pointing at the data. With that, I finally realized things aren't going too well.
高野先生のご考説を賜りながら、先の資料を拝見させていただきました。まず申し上げて、脳内に潜伏したウイルスが人間の思想をコントロールするなど、全くもってありえないことです。
It's the whole point of the presentation, though.
人間の思考は極めて高度な神の芸術ともいえる脳で作られます。また思想というものは人間の思考の中でも非常に上位のものであり、現在の地球上においては人間にのみ許された高度な能力です。
I mean, I get that, but I feel like extremely basic ideology, aka worshipping a god or a deity, and then like making rules around that, doesn't seem like that hard to create. Fire parasite control, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
それに介在するウイルスがいるなど考えられませんよ。
同感です。思想とはつまり個より全体を優先した考え方とも言えます。つまり社会性を維持する最前提条件なわけですな。それが遺伝子を残すこと
Oh
以
wait,
上の欲
did I
求を
get
持たない
confused?
ウイルスごときに宿るわけがない。
For some reason, I thought religion, but maybe they're not talking about religion. And ideology is that just like self-thought or identification? Ideology. Yeah, never mind. It's not. It's just ideas slash self-thought. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And I can see these guys' opinions.
生物学的にも言ってウイルス性の微細な生命体に社会性、新社会性が発見されたことは一度たりともありません。
しかし脳内の生命体が宿主の行動に干渉するケースは非常に多く報告されており、
高野先生は一つ誤解をされていますな。ウイルスが宿主の行動を支配する原理は常に生殖繁殖のためという極めて原始的理念に基づくものだけです。
The altered behavior is simply a means to let their host be eaten by a better host in order to change hosts.
ハリガネムシに寄生されたバッタの受水自殺がいい例ですな。ハリガネムシは十分に成長すると水生となります。その際、宿主であるバッタを水辺へ誘導して溺死させ、その体内から水中へ脱出する。
その通りです。私はひなみ沢症候群における自殺的な喉のかきむしりもそれに当たると考えました。
Come on, Hifumi, strike back. I know it's a 5v1, but... For example, Guiana worms escape the body by having the host scratch the affected area.
そうです。すべてのウイルスの目的は繁殖のため。そんな存在が神の芸術ともいえる脳に潜伏し、いやいや、潜伏すること自体は別におかしいことではない。寄生し、人間の思想に影響を及ぼすなんて、はっきり申し上げて妄言です。いや、危険思想と言ってもいい。
ひなみ沢という村が閉鎖的文化から独自の信仰を生み出したこと自体はそう日本各地に散見するよくあるケースです。だとしたら日本中のそれらの文化は全てウイルスによるものなのですか？それらは文化的なものであってひなみ沢の件に限ってはウイルスによるもの。その区別をどう立証されたのですか？
いえ、ですから現地で死亡した
Yeah, I was trying to say.
出身兵士の解剖の結果からそうだと信じるに足る様々な
Even though that's a tight question, we literally have freaking brain samples lined up for you.
失礼だが高野先生、信じるに足る臨床データだと語るには少々先生の収集されたケースは少なすぎます。しかもご自身で言われたように戦場という異常な状況下の話です。
ですから次の章で説明しますように、ひなみ沢症候群は疑心暗鬼と緊張、ストレスなどによる微妙なバランスが崩壊したときに。
It's unlucky Toizumi's not here. I feel like he would help, but maybe they like... I don't know, I'm kind of like confused a bit about what's happening. Like, are they doing it, like, are they purposely shutting them down because of like an order from the government from that incident? Or do they like, is this like legitimate skepticism? And like Kozumi actually being here would actually help. Because if it's the first option, it wouldn't really matter, right? They probably took him out for like good reasons.
喉をかきむしるという特徴的かつ異常な自傷行為が複数件あったならば何かの共通性があるに違いないと疑われるのもユニークかとは思います。
I think it's very reasonable to connect self-mutilation with Klein ones thrown out if there's multiple cases, to be honest. I mean, it is a unique approach, but like, I feel like you should connect the dots if that happened more than once.
ですが、だからこそ当てにならないのですよ。戦地という異常な状況下で、たまたまレアなケースが重なっただけのことなんです。
Bruh. I mean, it is the war, but still.
高野先生は重なった偶然を見てゲシュタルト的な構成主義にとらわれ 法則性を見つけたように錯覚してしまったのではないかと考えます。
そうでないことを証明するには、ひなみ沢症候群の感染者に対する膨大な臨床データが必要です。ですが、倫理的に考えてこりゃ立証は不可能でしょう。
出身者がたたりだと了解する行為はどちらかというと文化依存症候群の範疇です。それに対しウイルスによる意識支配を重ねられることは、失礼だが高野先生はユニークなひなみ沢の信仰に心酔し、その結果ご自身が文化依存症候群に取り込まれてしまっているのではないかと考えます。いえいえ、神秘的分野を研究する人間にはよくあり得ることですよ。我々も日々気をつけています。
The more they talk, the paler my grandfather's face becomes. I was just stunned myself. We've never heard of parasites like that. That's impossible. It was just a coincidence that, and there isn't enough data. The coincidence part is what hits you the most, honestly. It's just a coincidence. People are ripping their throats out to the point where they break their nails and kill themselves. Just a coincidence, smiley face. And the talk goes on, and every time grandfather says something, they dismiss it like that. Before I knew it, my grandfather could only hold his silence before their criticisms.
ただ、どんな発見も最初は理解されないものです。高野先生の研究もそのうちの一つでないかと考えます。当時、どんなにバカバカしいと思われていた研究でも、その後、真実が解き明かされ、
私は皆さんに比べれば素人です。個人の研究家に過ぎず、一流大の出でもなければ学閥にも属していません。
Oh boy.
もちろん権威や研究所へのコネクションもありません。故に個人の研究ではこの程度のことまでしか調べられないのです。果たしてひなみ沢症候群が真実なのか、それとも皆さんがおっしゃられるように私の妄想に過ぎないのか、それを確かめるためにお力添えをいただくことはできませんでしょうか。
もちろんこれが世紀の大発見になるならば一大センセーションを巻き起こすでしょう。何しろ人間の文化や思想は全てナノ単位の脳内生命体の意志によるもので、前頭葉は彼らを住まわせるだけの場所に過ぎないという。
ひなみ沢症候群が存在し、その感染者が感染によってそのお社様信仰というものに組み込まれることがもし立証できたなら、地球上に存在する全ての宗教、いや文化国境さえもウイルスで説明できるかもしれないんですからな。
その話の壮大さはとてもユニークです。高野先生は我々のような人間にひっそりと論文を読ませるより、それで本を書かれて一般大衆に発表された方がよろしいでしょうな。
Grandfather looks at the ground, his fists trembling a little. But their words were far too cruel. I don't know anything about academics, I'm just a little girl. I don't know exactly what they're talking about, but Grandfather worked so hard by himself until today. But to prove his research and delve further into it, he needs sponsors. Yet those sponsors are casting him away, calling his research a delusion. That's outrageous. Like asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. Besides, if his research was at the level those cheeky men want to see, he wouldn't need their help. But they're saying they can't help him unless they see some results that are beyond the level of private research. In any field, doesn't research always start out with just a little idea? If you can prove its existence beforehand, then what's the point of researching it to begin with? If a wild idea can't be the subject of research, how do we gain any knowledge at all? But never mind that. When Mr. Koizumi came to Ritsudo, didn't he say they were really interested in his research? So I do think it is the setup part, not them actually having... I mean, some of the skepticism is actually alright, but yeah, I think this is just an act almost. What's going on? This is the complete opposite of what he said.
はい、非常に興味深い研究だと思っております。脳はまだまだ未知の領域です。
この高野氏の論文は非常にユニークです。特に優生学的見地からは無視できないものが感じられます。
人は神の子などでは断じてない。人も進化の洗礼を受けた動物に過ぎません。ならばダーウィンに従い、各地の環境に応じて進化には差が出てくる。つまり人類にはすでに優劣があるのです。国家としていかに優秀な血統を守り、より良い遺伝子を未来に残せる。
Oh God.
これを国策として掲げ研究せねば、来世紀において人類は致命的な序列を与えられることになるでしょう。
高野氏の研究は単なる感染症の域を超えるだけのポテンシャルを秘めていると言えるでしょうな。
次世代に残すべきでない劣悪な人間が、もし遺伝子によるものでなく感染症によるものであると解明できたなら、外科的手段によって構成が可能だということになる。
It's one way of using the parasitic research if you can't identify those problem people. I mean, there you go. I'm sure Takano, Hifumi probably wouldn't want his research to be used in that regard, but it's a unique way of looking at it.
結果、我が国は未来に素晴らしい人間を残すことができるでしょう。
And by unique, I mean pretty fucked up. But I'm sure you're coding my words. Just leave it to the bureaucrats.
優生学的見地から
The eugenic point of view.
早急に取り組まれるべきです。
Any eugenic point of viewers?
これは世紀の大発見になる可能性がありますぞ。
Hell yeah. I love the lobotomy.
もし感染症疾患と個人の資質の因果関係が立証できれば、ノーベル賞どころでは済まんでしょうな。
小泉先生、この度の貴重な機会に深く感謝いたします。
高野君は昔から一途で熱心な男での。だが人付き合いが下手くそでな。ずっと一人で研究してきたのだ。だが一人でできる限界を迎え、ようやく人に助けを求めることを覚えたんだな。どうか先生方、高野君の話に耳を傾けてやってください。
And these all sound like different people, so
恐れ多いですよ先生。
I think, I don't know.
むしろこの度のご縁にこちらが感謝したいくらいです。
私どもとしてはもう協力させていただくことは前提です。むしろ学会での縄張り調整の方が今後の急務ですな。
このようなユニークな研究を世界に先駆けて研究できると、この年になってこのような貴重な幸運に恵まれたのを感謝したいです。
There's a knock on the door. The sliding door opened and the owner peeked in.
失礼いたします。お客様がお見えになっておりますが、お通ししてよろしいでしょうか。
客？はて、どちら様ですかの？
The owner whispered into Koizumi's ear, and his face turned pale all of a sudden.
お通ししてください。いや、私もお迎えに上がります。
As Koizumi stood up, two pairs of footsteps reached the door.
先生、このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。
小泉君、ご無沙汰だな。
The elder.
今日はちとどうしても君にしておきたい話があってな。
このようなところへお越しいただけるとは。はい、体温ある先生の話とあっては聞かぬわけには参りません。何でもおっしゃってください。
The old man known as Koizumi was not someone whose status could be taken lightly. Although he had retired, he was still powerful enough to wield great influence as a fixer. So from his meek attitude, it was easy to figure out what kind of person this man must be. The old man held onto his bodyguard's shoulder as he walked. He had an expensive-looking cane in his other hand. He couldn't even walk on his own because of his old age, but his intense, commanding presence hadn't declined one bit.
単刀直入に言う。君の友人の研究な。あれ、
There you
やめ
go.
させなさい。
はと申しますと。
小泉君、南沢症候群は墓場まで持ってかなきゃならん。あれに手をつけちゃならねえんだ。あれを調べるとな、やぶをつついて蛇を出すかもしれん。しかも太くてでかい蛇をな。君がこのままガブリとやられるのを黙って見とるには忍びないのでな。ちょいと君の小耳に入れてやろうと思って今日は来たんだ。それの先生方にはお待ちいただいて。どうだ、ちょいと向こうの部屋でわしと飲まんか。
はい、お供させていただきます。
Koizumi realized that he was being pressured. He didn't know which direction it was coming from, but clearly some authorities weren't comfortable with the research on Hinamizawa syndrome, and were trying to stop him from supporting it.
小泉君、分かっているかね。この研究はパンドラの箱だということを。全くの世まい事ですな。本日私どもがお邪魔したのは、資料になかったそれ以上の客観的何かが開示されるかもしれないことを期待したからです。本来ならば本日お邪魔するにも値しない内容だったのを、小泉先生たっての願いということで義理を尽くさせていただいたわけです。
徒労ではありましたが、来て正解でした。あなたに適切なアドバイスをすることができるのですから。あなたは余生をこんなことに費やされるくらいなら、盆栽でも始めなさい。
Take up some bonsai.
いいですぞ、盆栽は。
同感です。こんな書斎にホルマリンの瓶を並べていても不健康なだけですな。
しかし実にユニークな内容でした。あなたさえ良ければ出版社の社長を紹介しますよ。大衆にはこのくらいの刺激があった方がウケるでしょうからな。
They aren't even trying to hide their hostility. They're laughing at my grandfather, denouncing him, and saying things to denigrate not only his research but his personality as well. If they're simply trying to provoke him, any response would just be giving them what they want. Even in this very moment, grandfather tried to remain a noble researcher, a proud human being. He's no longer trembling. On the contrary, he apologized to them for taking up their time, and told them he had no intention of keeping them any longer.
この論文はお返ししますよ。もっとも、これを論文と呼んでいいなら、学会もどれだけ気楽なことか。
One of the elderly gentlemen tossed it back to him. Grandfather couldn't catch it in time. The article he worked so hard fell onto the floor, and the papers scattered all over the carpet. The elderly gentleman left the study without even apologizing for it. Everyone else followed suit. As they left, they trod all over my grandfather's article. It looked like grandfather's expression didn't change, but I could see it warping. I could see the wall of research grandfather bore crunching and warping sadly. I jumped. Oh, here we go. This is the song. Nice. Glad it's making a comeback. It just hits you with emotion as soon as I hear it. Now that it's so like deeply connected to that one scene. I grabbed onto the elderly gentleman's leg. I don't hate him. If I were asked if I hated him or not, the answer would be yes, but that's not the point here. What I really can't stand is this foot stepping all over my grandfather's articles. I just want to move the foot that's standing on his papers, but the foot doesn't move no matter how hard I push or pull as it's rooted to the floor. I felt someone grabbing me from behind. It was my grandfather.
孫が失礼をいたしました。さあどうぞこのままで結構ですので。後片付けは私どもの方でしますので。
My screams don't mean a thing to them. They completely ignored my screams. They continued to step on the papers and left the study. Only my grandfather and I remain in there now. My grandfather is still grabbing the back of my collar. I don't have any words left to say, only cries. My grandfather is determined not to show any emotion. He doesn't even open his mouth. So I have to cry for him. Just then, my grandfather slapped me in the face. That startled me. I'm crying for him, so why did he slap me? Then I understand. Grandfather is the one who wants to cry. But he's enduring. So I shouldn't cry either. I wiped my eyes and my runny nose. Then I silently turned my eyes to the paper on the carpet, just like my grandfather. I don't understand why he's apologizing. I thought he was going to complain about their rudeness. How courageous he is. Even after that disaster, he's still concerned about me. I shook my head and put my hands on the floor. I tried to gather up the papers, but then they began to fall. My tears are overflowing again, blurring the ink on the papers. These are all handwritten by grandfather. He was so happy that finally there was someone who understood his research. He was so happy. He spent all night writing these. But they stepped on them. They might as well have stepped on my grandfather's very soul. I don't know if he's saying that to me or to himself. Grandfather says that all the time, but I know the truth. God only plays with people's fates. He doesn't save anyone out of goodwill. That's why he let this happen to my grandfather, even though he's worked so hard and so humbly until today. That's why he left such a horrible thing to happen to me when I was still an innocent little girl. Grandfather keeps repeating himself, but I know the truth. God exists. The existence grandfather believes in is real, but there's no mercy to be found in God. He delivers unreasonable fates and makes us tolerate a challenge. I can't tell my grandfather that, of course. I asked God once more, like I did on the day of the thunderstorm. Why? Why can't you give my grandfather's efforts and hard work the recognition it deserves? Grandfather told me that he'll gather up the papers, so I should put away the teacups. I nodded silently and put the teacups that hadn't even been touched onto the serving carts. As I pushed it out of the study, Grandfather told me. He told me to close the door after I leave. I always close the door when I leave. He doesn't need to remind me. But that's what he wants, so without saying anything, I closed the door. Then as I walked away from the study, I heard my grandfather sobbing. Tears filled my eyes once more. Sadness and disappointment. I almost feel angry with myself for not being able to do anything for him. Oh, then I felt a cool breeze on my wet sheets. The breeze was blowing in from a cracked open window. The curtain was flapping gently in that breeze. I heard the cry of the Higurashi. As I listened to them, I calmed down gradually. If I can ease Grandfather's pain by crying, I'll cry in his place. But that won't help. On the contrary, he started to cry because I did. I'm being useless here. I remember that day. I remember the reason why I'm alive now. If he hadn't come and saved me, I would have spent the last days of my life lying in the corner of a bathroom as a human-shaped piece of meat. Grandfather saved me. He gave me back my rights. The right to walk, the right to stand up, the right to wear clothes, the right to eat, the right to speak, and the right to think. In other words, the right to live as a human being. Grandfather took action right after he got the phone call from me. He found my house, and he found out which orphanage I was sent to. After struggling through the sloppily filled records of the public office. Then he saved me. Of course he was working on his research then. He spent his precious research time on saving me, a perfect stranger. I vowed that if his heart failed, I'd rip my heart out and give it to him. But of course his heart is fine. So he doesn't need a heart, he needs something else that's equally important. That's something only I can give him in this whole world. Hype music? Battle music? I clenched my fists, and held them so tightly that my nails left marks. I know now what I'm supposed to do with this new life as Mio Takano. I finally know. I know the reasons why the new me was born. I know the purpose of Mio Takano. Bum 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 bum. Oh, is this a remix of No, I don't want to say it just in case I'm wrong. Okay, it was. Sounded like it. I thought I knew of my grandfather's greatness, but I actually didn't know the half of it. For me, to be able to really help him, I have to reach his level. All my lessons led back to my grandfather. There wasn't a single subject I could ignore. This is a different version of Dear You than we've experienced before. It's good though. It's very hype. Right now, studying hard is what I can do for him.
教師生活をして長いが、君ほどたゆみなく勉学に勤しんできた生徒は見たことがない。かといって決して勉強のみに視野が狭くなることなく、社交性も身につけ、多くの友人を作った。
Master of all fields.
勤勉なのは勉強することでしか至れない。
Oh, that's a time skip. It sounds like the Takano we know, but younger, I think.
社交性をおろそかにしないのは孤独な天才があまりに無力であることを知っているからです。
That's not enough.
私はまだまだ自分の望む姿に至れていないんです。大学に入るのは私にとっては単なる経過に過ぎない。そこで何が学べるかなんです。
I'm not even close. I'm not even close to being able to help my grandfather.
先生は君を教え子に持てたことを誇りに思う。私立大でも国立大の医学部でも好きに選びなさい。
Little loud on the music, but I'll allow it.
今の君にとって
'Cause it's sick.
何の意味もない。君にとって学ぶに値する学校であるかどうかだけが大事だ。
願いを成就し望む未来を紡ぐ力。紡がれる糸の強さは意志の強さ。気高く強き願いは必ず現実となる。
Boom. Oh, it's starting again. Do I have what I need to be able to truly understand Hinamizawa syndrome and help grandfather in his research? I don't need compromises or excuses. The heights I seek are lofty and precipitous. There isn't enough, not even close. Or this isn't enough. My classmates are such idiots, acting as if they're winners in life just because they entered this school. A college is simply a place to learn what I need to know. If this self-proclaimed best school isn't worth my time, I'm not interested.
まさか最初のあなたが伝染病圏に来られるとは思いませんでした。あなたほどの方なら引っ張りだこだった。
We're on the career ladder. No one can stop us. No snakes, only ladders.
てっきりもっと見栄えのいい研究に関心を寄せられると思っていました。
私が学びたいこと、研究したいことが私は今日ここで学べる資格を得るために勉学に勤しんできました。
そんなことはありませんよ。入学試験を第1位で突破したあなたを拒むはずはありません。
Top score.
ようこそ伝染病圏に。嫌われがちな学問でね。研究者はまだまだ少ない。だから他の学問に比べて未知の分野が多いのです。
That's quite true. The study of parasites is a mysterious world. Or rather, it's an ignorant one. An ignorant world where the preconception that parasites can't possibly control humans pervades. And those ignorant people laughed at grandfather and stepped all over his article.
伝染病の世界にはまだまだ解き明かされていない未知があります。私はそれを解くために、それを解こうとする人の力になるためにここ
The
までやってきたんです。
flutes.
実現の約束された願いはもはや願いとは呼ばない。それはつまりもはや運命。私が紡ぐのは運命。運命は個人だけじゃなく人を世界を支配する絶対の力。
Learning isn't enough for me. I have to be able to research with my grandfather. And so I don't ignore the means to gain the help my grandfather couldn't get. Grandfather's research isn't complete just when it finished being written on a desk. I need the help of plenty of people to present it to the world, so his great work will be praised by many.
そうです。当会は大学院の首席卒業生のみに入会資格を与えている同窓会組織です。毎年7人の入会者のみしか認めておりませんので、一般的な同窓会組織と比べると小規模ですが、その結束は比べようがありません。
そのような会へお誘いいただき、とても光栄です。私ごときでよろしければ、ぜひ末席を賜れればと思います。
いえいえ、あなたほどの実績と経歴をお持ちの方を末席などと先輩方もあなたを歓迎されるでしょう。会の名簿には現役大臣、高級官僚、大企業の社長や顧問などが名を連ねています。彼らはあなたを必要とし、あなたが必要とする協力を与えるでしょう。
小泉先生もこの会におられたのですね。 祖父の親友だった方です。まさかここでまたご縁があるとは。
そうでしたか。きっと小泉先生もあなたの入会を歓迎されることでしょう。
An isolated genius is a useless one. People live in society. Society is made up of connections between people. Nobody can ignore that. I do my best as an individual. But to gain the power that can be achieved as mere individual, I have to rely on my connections in society. It's all for one purpose. I wish as Mio Takano. Yes, I can't spare any effort.
私の絶対の意志が絶対の未来を紡ぎ出す。誰にも邪魔できない。誰にも覆せない。サイコロの1なんて認めない。けなげな努力が偶然の事故だけで打ち消されるなんて認めない。すべてのサイコロを6にしてやる。サイコロを神になんか委ねない。不運になんか委ねない。神に祈るのは自らに努力を尽くさぬ愚か者のすることだ。私は神などに委ねない。私の強固な意志が神にさえ介在できない絶対の未来を作り出す。それは祖父が教えてくれた神になる方法とは違う。それは生きながらにして神に至る方法。それに気づいた時、私はようやく解放される。それは両親を失った時の悲しい記憶。そして論文を踏みにじら
Sorry,
れ
I'm
た時の
skipping.
祖父の涙。そう、私は神の域を超えるのだ。神の気まぐれなどに負けない存在に。祖父の研究を認めさせてやる。それは私が望む未来、約束された未来。人々は祖父の論文を奪い合って読み合う。かつてないがしろにされ踏みにじられたその論文をうやうやしく手に取って読むのだ。たとえその日を待たずに祖父に死が訪れたとしても、その程度の運命に私が泣くことなどないのだ。だって祖父はすでに私に教えてくれている。たとえ死んで土中に埋められた身であっても復活できることを。私が祖父の偉業を完成させ、世界中が祖父を称える。その時祖父は復活を遂げ、神となり永遠となる。それは永遠の絆。どんな交通事故でもちぎれない。神がいくらサイコロの1を並べようとも。両親を事故で失った日から私の人生は全てサイコロの1だった。でも私はそれに負けずここまでやってきた。サイコロの目など私は超越する。サイコロの目は私が決める。運命すらも私が決める。くじけぬ絶対の意志で。
Boom. White screen. Hinamizawa. Bro, that was actually so motivational. I didn't want to interrupt it. That honestly got me pumped.
診療所はいつ開くんかいね。クーラーがついてるとええの。来月にゃ診療開始って書いてあった。つったら若い先生だとええの。
Here. I heard some old ladies talking amongst themselves when I was going up to the stairs to the shrine. The Irie clinic is already completed, and it's waiting and ready for opening day. The state-of-the-art equipment has been delivered, and the research is waiting to begin as well. Irie, too, is standing in top form, and he's almost as passionate as I am about Hinamizawa syndrome. The Mountain Dots, the counterintelligence unit to support and protect our research, are already stationed at a dummy company somewhere near Otonomio. They are getting in touch with various public institutions. Everything is going well. The only thing to worry about would be the rumors about the Hinamizawa Dam construction plans. There's a rumor that the Ministry of Construction is pushing through a dam project that will submerge all of Hinamizawa, but they're under pressure from several groups. None of my contacts have much influence in the Ministry of Construction, so things aren't going well. Even if applying pressure doesn't work, there are other measures, so either way it'll come to a deadlock. I'm not being optimistic. I just know that's how it'll end. I will conduct research here in Hinamizawa. I'm going to accomplish that with my absolute will. That's why, even if God rolls a 1 on the die and says that he's going to submerge Hinamizawa, I will not be afraid. I want to trust my die to God. I'm the one who's going to pick up the die, and I'm going to roll a 6. I didn't come to this shrine to declare war on the god of this place. I came because I know you can get a great view from up here. I walked by the shrine and headed to the spot I found last time I visited the viewing platform. It's the perfect spot for overlooking the entire village. The strong wind reminded me that I'm only at the starting line. And there will be a headwind before I reach my goal. I looked over the village without faltering in the wind. Grandfather approached the syndrome from a medical point of view, but he also approached it from a folklore one as well. The strange belief system in this village is proof that the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome was already known of even in ancient times. So it'll be extremely useful to research their history too. My grandfather hadn't been doing research for hundreds of years, of course. But this place has been here for hundreds of years, and they've been living with Hinamizawa syndrome for that long. Therefore, the beliefs created in this place and the legend itself can be considered the foremost researchers. It's simply stupid to call them old folk tales or nonsense. I've been researching them slowly, but they are indeed very interesting. No wonder grandfather was intrigued by them. Hinamizawa syndrome has many fantastic sides to it. It's just like a kaleidoscope showing infinite light with ever a slight change in angle. It's so much fun to trace grandfather's research. Finding the same results as my grandfather reminds me that I am indeed following in his footsteps, which makes me very happy. The shrine is dedicated to Oyasho-sama, the guardian deity of the village. But this god of the villagers' worship is simply a delusion that was created by parasites. When I solve their secret and announce it to the world, the god of this place will be no more. That's the moment I will take revenge on the one who put me through misery and tested my fate. That's it, isn't it? This isn't just about making my grandfather's dreams come true. It's also about getting revenge for my miserable life. I went back to the front of the shrine. There's an offertory box there and I'm tempted to throw in some coins. But you normally offer coins to ask for mercy. I don't entrust my fate to God, so I don't need to give an offering. I'm going to unmask him. But until then, Oyasho-sama is a god. Okay, in that case, I'll show respect for now. Hehehehe. As a declaration of war, I pulled out a 10 yen coin from my wallet. The 10 yen coin I found in the telephone booth changed my life. If it hadn't been there, my life would have ended then.
あの1枚の10円玉に関してだけはあなたに感謝するわ。
I'm not grateful to the god of the shrine, though.
でもね、あの程度で私はあなたを許したつもりなんてない。そして私はあなたのご利益なんか期待せず、今後あなたがどんな理不尽な運命を与えようとも サイコロの位置を出し続けようとも、そんなものにはびくともしない絶対的に強固な意志の力で、私の理想を勝ち取ってみせる。
My grandfather will be praised and become a god because of the research I'll do in this place. I will defeat the god of this village and become an existence above even gods.
いつから私は神という言葉にこだわるようになったのかしらね。祖父がいつも神様を引用した話ばかりするからかしら。
Here's the 10-yen coin you gave me before. My debt's been paid off now. You just keep clinging to your throne and tormenting people with your trials, while I fight my battles to knock you down from there. And so I chucked the 10-yen coin I once borrowed from God into the offertory box. For a moment, I couldn't understand what happened. The 10-yen coin was supposed to fall into the offertory box, or offering box. But how can I explain this? That's not what happened. I am correctly for certain. Who would miss an offertory box anyway? That's not it. Because of the 10-yen coin stopped in midair, as if it got stuck in a spider's web. Then it bounced back to me and fell by my feet. It was as though the offertory box had refused the coin. Of course, an offertory box is to respect God, but what I did was challenge him. That means this is war. I don't know, proof. I jumped because I thought I was the only one here. Anyone would jump when finding there's someone else standing there unexpectedly. Hanyu with a weird face. I don't think we've seen that Hanyu face. That's weird. How long has she been there? It says she came out of the shrine. A mysterious girl is standing on the other side of the offertory box. She's wearing a shrine maiden uniform, so she must be one of the caretakers there. That's what I thought too. But there's something about her. You know, the horns and her transparency. She's not just one of the shrine caretakers. She is the shrine itself. Because the girl is staring into my eyes. No, she's glaring. I smiled back fearlessly. I think she heard my words of challenge to God. She's wearing that expression on her face because of that. The words came out naturally. The girl didn't nod, but I took that as a yes. What a contradictory feeling. I'm rejecting the god of this land, denying its very existence. Yet I don't doubt this girl is that god. The girl opened her mouth to speak. That's what I say to myself often. I've never said that to anyone or quoted it from anything. So under normal circumstances, I should be surprised to hear this girl say that. But this girl isn't human, so I'm not surprised. I replied to her.
私の神々しさを知りなさい。
Hee 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 hee. Spiteful laughter flowed out of my mouth. But the girl's face displayed a strong will of her own. Her expression didn't even change a bit. Whoa, CG. Look at that smud Takano. Dude, that's one of the cleanest Takano CGs. Even if she's just in her normal uniform. Like, usually, for some reason, Takano CGs always look kind of derpy. Whether it's the face or something weird with her body. But this looks so clean. What the heck? I appreciate it.
何度繰り返しても決して覆せぬこの運命はあなたの強固な意志の力ゆえ。
そうよ。強い意志は運命を強固にする。鋼のように鍛えられた運命はいかなるサイコロの目にも動じない。それはすなわち絶対の未来。
それを幾百年を生きる僕たちでなく人の身であるあなたが知るとは認めますです。あなたは限りなく神に近い場所にいる。
それは光栄。
The girl glared at me with her eyes half shut. No, it was more like she was proclaiming something to me while displaying her own strong willpower.
僕はあなたに負けない。
Swing.
かつて僕たちはどう戦ってもあなたに勝てないと思った。だから僕はあなたに屈した。地に落ち、輪廻の中を這いずりながらみすぼらしく生きた。でも信じる力が運命を切り開く奇跡を起こすと。
私の強い意志が作り出す運命。あなたの強い意志がそれを打ち破る奇跡を起こすという。道理ね。
Because that's the law of this world. A strong will can make a desired future possible.
僕たちはあなたの意志の強さに負けないのです。
古き神の座に執着するのも大いに結構。あなたの意志が私の意志に勝てるか試してみなさいな。神は人を試すが人が神を試してはならない不条理だからあえてあなたを試してあげるわ。お前の意志の強さ私の意志の強さに勝てるかどうかを試してごらんなさい。
That's clearly a declaration of war from me to God. This is the beginning of my revenge towards God, who put me through so much misery. And this girl, this God, is accepting my challenge directly. Schwind. Angry Hanyu.
あなたに比べてあまりに非力だけれども、あなたに比べてあまりにできることが少ないけれど、たとえ僕の意志の強さがあなたに及んだとしても、それぐらいでは覆せないくらいに圧倒的な力の差ではあるけれども。
そうね。私は圧倒的な力を得た。その力を得るために今日までどれほどの強い意志を持ち初心を貫徹してきたか。貴様ごとき小娘では私に指一本触れることもかなわないでしょうね。
分かってる。あなたの強大さは分かってる。それに比べて私や私の仲間たちの力はあまりにか細いかもしれない。でも私は諦めないことを選ぶことができる。三途の河原で永遠に石を積み続けるよう、気が遠くなるほどの長い時間あなたに屈しないことで意志の強さを示してみせよう。そして河原に石が積み上がった時、私たちはその川を越えることができ、
その時こそこの長きにわたる運命の戦いに決着がつく。ならば結構かかっておいでなさい。どちらの思いが強いか。強かった方が未来を作る。強かった方の望んだ未来が訪れる。その未来では祖父の偉業は称えられ神となり、かつて私を不幸にて試すような真似をした神に対して復讐をする。
Hee hee hee. Ah ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Stupid little god. I'll show you. Look at that face.
神の座から引きずり下ろしてやる。
Whoa, that's a cursed face. What the heck? It's a chapter end, I'm guessing. Woo. Another good chapter. Oh, title card, kinda. The prologue is finished. Are we gonna be switching POVs again? Does that mean no? Oh man. No Tomodachi Tatsuno chapter. Opening? We don't watch openings here. Challenging a dog, no tips. Because it's still the prologue. That was a good chapter. I think the chapters have literally been like on an upward slope. Though maybe chapter 1 and chapter 2 could be like switcherooed for like hype levels, but it's been going up. Tatsuno is literally willpower in human form. She's very very comparable to like the ideology of Lambda Delta and stuff, which is also funny because her child voice actor is Lambda Delta. But yeah, there you go. I'm guessing that means we're probably not getting any more Tatsuno backstory, even though there's still some gaps to fill. Because obviously, I don't know if her motivation changes to becoming the curse, or if she just uses this curse to like become a god and then like releases Hifumi's research, and then people start to adapt that to the incident and stuff. But either way, very good episode. Some new jams, very loud. I like in the last 10 minutes, I do remember that I installed some freaking extra mod menu, but I totally forgot how to use it. So maybe I should do that and fit stuff. But no, that was great. I'm having a great time. Maybe we'll also get chapter breaks starting now, because again, this was a 4-chapter prologue, very ambitious, but I'm not complaining. Chapter baits and tips, unless they're gonna just go full chapter per video, no breaks, fast pacing. I wouldn't mind either way, but thank you for watching. This was great. Next time, I'm assuming we're gonna get some Rika and the Danes action, because it kind of seemed like it switched paces, but I wouldn't mind some more Tatsuno stuff, because again, we still have stuff to explore, so either would be good. But thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and next time we'll dive into chapter 5. Yay! Bye for now.